Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Precisely Nowhere, or welcome if you are a new listener. I am excited to be recording today, officially back in California. I spent the first week and a half in New York, the first week and a half of June, that is, for a friend's wedding and got to see a lot of friends that I haven't seen in almost a year now. So it was really nice to reconnect with people, take some time to just aimlessly walk around Central Park and New York. I am excited to jump right in. So today's episode is going to be light and fun because I am feeling a little scatterbrained at the moment in the best ways that I am coming off of traveling. It's been a pretty busy week since I've been back in California between work and life with Father's Day. One of my brothers had a birthday. We have Juneteenth coming up. Yeah, it's June. Somehow June is flying by and I love summer so much. But I wanted to chat about my trip to New York. So many thoughts that filled my mind going to my friends. One of my best friends got married, and it was amazing to get to experience that life milestone with her and her now husband. Shout out to you both. It was very touching to see how happy they truly are and all of their families coming together as one to celebrate them and their friends. I got to see a lot of people that I haven't seen in a minute since my friend and I stopped living together. So she was my roommate right out of college until we both went our own ways. We lived together for 6 years. So by the time we stopped living together, we were, near the end of our 20s. She was graduating from law school and taking another life milestone to move in with her boyfriend, now husband. I was taking a life milestone and moving into my own apartment. That was the last 2 years of my time in New York. I'm very grateful that I got to experience living alone before I met my boyfriend, who I now live with. I was nervous to live alone. I was really nervous because I had always had roommates. I had roommates in college, I had roommates post college. I liked having roommates, especially in the city. I felt like it was a nice way to just come home and chill with people, especially if you vibed with them. And I really enjoyed that, especially being a homebody. And some of my roommates became some of my best friends. So it was awesome to get to live with people that were just your best friends. And I didn't want to give that up selfishly, but life is about growing. And I embraced a new chapter of my life and could not fathom the idea of living with someone that I hadn't lived with already because I was past the point of being anyone's mom or cleaning lady. So I ended up living alone and I got my own apartment in West Harlem and got to decorate it how I wanted to decorate it, come home whenever I wanted to come home, use the bathroom whenever I wanted to. So there were lots of perks. I actually loved living alone. Now I've been living with my boyfriend for actually just over a year. It was a year in April. So that's been a new transition and experience, but it's been great. And I think the fact that we both have experience living on our own is really helpful because we have that perspective of just how we like our spaces. And then we've brought those perspectives together and are also very mindful of cleaning up after ourselves and know what it takes to keep an apartment, like upkeep it. I think when you live alone, you really learn that because it's only you. It either goes to shit potentially, or you're thriving and you're keeping your space. Like nice. I like to bit of a minimalist, but also love decorating and being intentional with what is in my space because since COVID, I've been working remotely and from home. So I love being able to look around in my space and have it give me good energy back and not feel like overly cluttered or just bad vibes, not here for the bad vibes. But as I continue to get off topic, things that I have been thinking about lately, life milestones, especially with my trip back to New York. I got to see some friends that also had moved away from the city, but were there for other friends' weddings. And it's exciting to see people that I knew in my early 20s, but maybe lost touch with, get married, get to just grow, thrive in life. And I love love and I love weddings. So my best friend's wedding was amazing. I mean, it was just such a good time, and she looked so beautiful. I thought I was gonna cry more than I did. I think that it was so fun that I just didn't even have time to like get that emotional. I had lots of good emotions, lots of dancing, and it was a short and sweet ceremony, which when I get married one day, would also love to have a short and sweet. A lot of it was spent cocktail hour, reception, after party. It was a vibe, best wedding by far. And I am so excited for the two of them in their next journey. It is so weird in a good way to hear your friend call someone their husband. And I have some friends that are married, but it's just, I don't know, being single for so long in my 20s and having a lot of friends that are single or in relationships but aren't married. It's just something I'm getting used to still. It just feels so real, like you're a real adult and in my opinion, but very exciting nonetheless. So, yeah, friends, milestones, life, and some highlights from my trip were seeing two of my friends that live in Hawaii now and recently got engaged, and it was so good to see them and get to reconnect with everyone. I know I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I love living in California. One of the things I've missed the most has been my friends and the conveniencing of being able to see them when I want, and coming to terms with the fact that people are also moving on and not everyone is in New York. Like, even within New York, they're in Brooklyn, they're making trips out to Long Island, they're traveling a lot. It's like we're all growing and we're not all in the same place anymore, but when we all come together, it's really special, and it makes me want to be better at keeping in touch with people in general so that I can keep those friendships alive and those bonds and continue to grow as we all grow, and grow our friendship in new ways. So, to all of you listeners out there that are my good friends, I love you dearly. And it is so nice to get to spend time with you and see you, even if we don't talk every day or every week. I am so thrilled for all of you. I think that you're all fucking awesome. So, some other highlights, I almost got scammed, so that was really fun. Scammers right now, these text messages and phone calls, it's very annoying, and I could go on for days about scammers, but I almost got scammed, so wanted to share my experience for anyone that's listening that also may be susceptible to this. I felt like I am super smart, but somehow also very trusting with people, and that sometimes, could be a negative thing. But I got a phone call from Con Ed about a deal, and then I answered the phone, and they happened to have the last 4 digits of my card, and they had enough information that seemed legit, like, "Oh, you would work for Con Ed." But then when we got to the point of like, "Okay, I'll take this deal," then they wanted me to pay with a Target gift card, and I was like, "No, not gonna do that. Not gonna open a Target credit card either." And long story short, it was a scam, so I ended up calling Con Ed, and I had to, like, switch my password. It's very annoying that people are scamming. You're presented with the opportunity to get a deal on your Wi-Fi. Who's not gonna take a deal on their Wi-Fi? And then they ask you to pay with gift cards or open a Target credit card, and that's us. Just a lot of admin that is required afterwards to make sure I update my passwords to be more secure. So PSA, not giving my phone number to things as much anymore because I feel like I'm getting text messages on the regular about potential viruses and just scammy, spammy things. So just hang up the phone and then call the actual number that you have for that like service. It'll nip any questions in your head that you have of like, is this a scam? Is this too good to be true? It may be. On a more positive note, went to some bars and rooftop places in New York City, and I'm going to put together a list of some places that I went to and share it on my Instagram. Maybe I'll create the Out of Office app and share it there as well. I did some sightseeing and walking around in Central Park, which I love Central Park, especially during the summer, and came across this girl who was doing free art. She had some blankets and a little sign, and it literally said, like, for anyone, free art. She had canvases, paper, she had color pencils, watercolors, acrylic paints, and I saw a couple people sitting there indulging in it, and I took a couple days off. So I decided to be spontaneous and embrace the moment and painted myself a small little canvas picture that I ended up taking home with me. She takes pictures of all of the art and lets people choose whether they're going to keep it or leave it with her. And I decided I would keep mine as a memory. And I need to post it on my story, but it was a little 4x4 canvas panel that I just was literally painting, and I am kind of obsessed with it. It's squiggly colors. I think it's abstract, but it's one of the reasons why I love New York. It's things like that where you least expect it and then bam, and I think it's beautiful that she is inspiring people to tap into their creativity and facilitating that. And she's 18. Like, how awesome is that? That she's so young. She's an art student, and she actually did something similar with her mom and sister the year prior. And that inspired her to basically pay it forward. So she does this, I think, from June to August and goes Monday or Tuesdays to Central Park. It is towards the bottom of Central Park. So if you enter through Fifth Ave and 59th and walk inwards, like over I think it's like Gapstone Bridge, it's very close to there. I am going to put her social handle in the show notes for anyone that's interested and might happen to find themselves in Central Park on a Monday or Tuesday. She's there for most of the day, I think until like 6 p.m. I stumbled upon her around like 5 p.m. and it was awesome, super relaxing. I am obsessed with the fact that she does this and is just out of the kindness of her heart to encourage people to be creative, and am also going to hopefully interview her for my podcast. I can learn more about her. And other highlights, I went to the museum of the city of New York, which is my favorite museum in the city. If you've never been, I know I've talked about it before, but highly recommend it. They just celebrated their 100th anniversary, and there's lots of cool exhibitions. There's an activism exhibition that's ongoing, and it spotlights different periods throughout really the 21st century. Yeah, and the 20th century of activism. And there's like excerpts, there's actual testimonials from people, and just real life examples of that period and like how activism was alive. And I think that activism is so important, especially for people that are underprivileged and really being discriminated against. So, and having their rights be jeopardized. But that is one of my favorite museums, and their gift shop's amazing. Also, went to the MoMA, and on Fridays they do like late nights, and it's free for NYC residents. So, highly recommend you check it out. I just love New York and all of the culture that it has to offer. And I know there's so much culture out in California as well. So I am on a mission to embrace more of the opportunities that are here in my backyard and not just venture to New York for them. But yeah, all in all, it was a wonderful trip. I'm glad I got to see some friends and spend quality time with people that I don't get to see very often. And I got to spend time in my old apartment as well since my best friend took over my lease. So that was really fun. A trip down memory lane. Marco and I actually got to go to the Museum of the City of New York together before he went back home. He was only there for a weekend for my friend's wedding, which was in Long Island. I'm glad we got to do a spontaneous New York City activity that we used to do when we lived in the city together. It just brings back all the feels, and part of me wishes we would have lived in New York longer and I would have re-signed my lease and we would have had like a year there. And I wanted to share those thoughts with you because I feel like it is something that human beings, we think sometimes of, what if I would have done something differently? That would have been really cool. But there's so much else that happened by not making that choice. And I got to spend a year in California, almost a year at this point, getting to see my family more and build relationships with my family. And I spent so many years away from them, and also build my relationship with my boyfriend, because moving across the country together is a feat in itself and really tests your relationship. I think just tests you as a person, but tests your relationship as well. And ours was definitely tested, but I think it's great that we went through those tests and kind of early on in our relationship, in my opinion, because we will have been together for 2 years, boyfriend and girlfriend for 2 years in August, dating for like a little bit over that. So I think having those tests, those real life, like, okay, this is going to make it or break it situation, are daunting. And yes, while it would have been fun to prolong that experience, I think it speaks volumes that we were able to get through the ups and downs and obstacles that come with moving across the country and have come out stronger. I'm grateful for that. So, and I think that it's also challenged me as a person and helped me find some balance, because as much as I do love New York, there is a hustle and bustle to it that I, in a way, don't miss. The slowness of California is my vibe right now and is a vibe I'm trying to keep. And I love New York City, and nothing will ever replace New York City. But I think it's nice to be able to come visit now and to be able to come back to California where it's just a little slower. The sun shines more. Honestly, loving the space and the fact that I can see my family more easily has also been really nice. So I love you all. I love New York City, and I can't wait to go back and visit again, hopefully before 2025. And Marco and I are actually going to go to Chicago for a quick weekend trip to get to see his family and his niece, who's having a birthday soon. So, very excited for that trip, and I can't wait to report back. It'll be a very quick weekend trip. So, hoping that we'll be able to go for a longer period of time, hopefully over the holidays or next year. And I've been meaning to put together some NYC recs since it's near and dear to my heart. So I am figuring out where and how to share those, but I do want to share some recs because I am obsessed with the city and want to pay it forward, especially for anyone that's listening that finds themselves there. It's so easy to even get away and visit a museum. All you need is a couple hours. It might feel like you need longer, but you really don't. So, trying to encourage everyone to lean into the spontaneity of New York City, because that is sometimes when you have the most magical moments, in my opinion. And yeah, life milestones. Just, it's wild. It's wild that we're getting older, but super exciting to see how much we are changing and growing, and there's so much to look forward to as we get older. I feel like 30s are where it's at. Like 20s was a ton of fun, but I'm just excited to continue growing in my 30s and onward and see my friends also do the same and get to have fun experiences with them. TV Rex wanted to share a show that I recently watched with my boyfriend. It's called Primo. It's on Amazon Prime, and it is from the main person that produced Parks and Rec and The Good Place. It's a like coming of age comedy TV show. I think there's only one season and it came out in 2023, but it is centered around this teenager named Rafa Gonzalez and his mother, Drea, and then his 5 overbearing uncles. So if you grew up in a similar setting, I think you'll definitely relate to it in many ways and enjoy it. So highly recommend. I don't want to give too many spoilers and I haven't finished watching the first season, but it is funny and very relatable and a vibe. So check it out. Dune 2, I also finally watched. Amazing. I want to watch it again already. And if you haven't watched Dune 1, watch the first one first and then watch Dune 2. But I love Zendaya and Timothy Chalamet. They are so good together as co-stars and co-leads. And yeah, it is such a good movie. So, and if you're not familiar with it, it is sci-fi fiction and it is in a post-apocalyptic world, I would say the easiest way to explain it. Also, Austin Butler is in the second one, and his character is a lot, but he does a really good job playing him. And Florence Pugh as well. She's in it. Christopher Walken's also in it, and Javier Bardem. So, A-list cast, 10 out of 10 movie. Definitely want to watch it again. It's kind of long. It's like almost 3 hours, but you won't regret it. Started watching Chicago Fire again, which is an NBC show. I love me a sitcom-y show that I can watch that has a million seasons and each season has a bunch of episodes. So right now I've been watching that as a light watch here and there when I'm bored and just trying to pass the time. I have some things on my radar that I want to watch, so I will recap those in another episode. But wanted to keep today's short and sweet. I had a wonderful trip in New York City. If you've never been, highly recommend you put it on your bucket list. I will share tips and recs. Please DM me if you find yourself there and you want some recs from a New Yorker. I lived there for 12 years. I went to college there. It is my home away from home. So I can give you all the recs for anyone who's looking for touristy things, also like less touristy things. I'm your girl. Now I'm going to go off and eat some sushi, celebrate Father's Day. By the time this comes out, Father's Day will have passed. So happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Shout out to all the parents out there that are helping raise this next generation that are hopefully going to help us save the planet. Anyone out there that is also a parent figure that might not have kids of their own, because I think that those people are just as important, and you don't necessarily need to have your own children to be a parental figure in someone's life. So I love you all, and I appreciate all of you for listening. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll talk soon.
Music and editing done by Marco. You can find him at midnight, MIDNITE_mind80 on Instagram for more of his work.